conversation.
Yeah, we should definitely be at the beginning of this pod in mid conversation. Welcome back, guys. It's Jess and Rich,
And Rich.
not Jessica and Richard, as we covered on our last podcast. That's only our legal compliant names for the state. But we go by Jess and Rich. Here we are, and we were just kind of mid conversation about presentation of listings. I think
Presentation,
is going to be our
media.
topic. We
What
we
does it
had
look like?
some. Oh my gosh! So we had a pretty good time this morning when we pop on a Google Meet and we kind of meet in the morning and talk about business, and we pull up new listings in the MLS, and Rich pulled up a listing that was interesting to us, and obviously we're not going to talk about who, what, where, when, but a new listing that came up recently, and the pictures were literally shocking, shocking, as there were people, laundry, kids, filth, clutter, on cell phone photos, and it just kind of like made us feel very sad and also, I mean, defeated. How do we
Yeah.
get the message out really to agents? Number one, right? Like, hey guys, like let's think about the best way to really take care of our sellers. But maybe, Rich, what are your thoughts on how do we get this message out to sellers? Like, what should they really be looking for when they're interviewing an agent in terms of how their listing's going to be presented?
Yeah, I do think this is fascinating, and I think there is a huge chasm between the ends of the spectrum. You can have a go to whatever consumer portal of your choice, on the internet, and you can have the most gorgeous photos and video presentation and graphics and all the stuff under the sun, and or you can have crooked diagonal photos with bad light and very little information, and I just, what they look for is quality, right? Look, if you're talking to an agent or a team or whatever it is that you're about to list a property with, look at their product. Look at what they're putting out into the public sphere for people to consume. Look at how they're presenting your home or property, because increasingly what stuff looks like matters. I mean, it always has mattered, but back in the days of putting an ad in the newspaper were different than now. Everything is so visual. Everything is so auditory also, in fact, and graphical and everything, right? I just think that the person with the property wanting to sell should think very, very clearly about not only, because we just talked about in our last pod how you want to trust the person, you want good communication, you want a good human. That's all part of it. But one other part is, will they make this thing look accurate and good, right? We don't want it to be false in any way. Or
Right.
you actually can use editing as long as you say that it's edited in certain ways. But as a baseline, if I want to sell my house, I want it to look good, at least like relative to what other things are selling for. So if I have a $400,000 property I want to sell, and I look on the internet at what else is selling at that price range, and I see these beautiful photos, I want mine to be at least competitive, right? I don't want it to look worse, because fundamentally I'm trying to compete with that price bracket. So
That's right.
it's just like anything in the world, Jess. I'm already fired up, but it's like anything else in the
Hmm.
world. If you're selling something, what we are, the agent, part of our role is marketing, and marketing means caring about making it look good, right? So I,
Yes.
I don't know how we get the message to other professionals. Use that term loosely in this sense, because um, if you are, if you can't be
Because,
bothered to like straighten a photo or change
mhm.
the lighting a little bit to make it
Or
at
ask
least
the people
visible,
to step
or
aside so
or
look at the
like you
back of
said,
your head.
there's the classic things that we can riff on, but like it's the toilet seat wide open, it's the person in the mirror, it's the other the homeowner or their whatever guest in the home in the photo. It's stuff like that is just, frankly, in 2026, it's shocking to me that people
Yeah.
are still like, if that was my listing, I would call my agent immediately and say,
If that
what
was my
are you
house,
doing?
dude, yeah, I'd be
Like,
like, I really need to withdraw the listing and list it with someone like that can pay 300
yeah,
bucks.
I
It's not
mean,
even $300. It might be $200, $250 to just get a set of photos. Like you
I,
don't have to
I,
do everything. You
I
don't have to go crazy, but get a set of
well,
photos.
I'll even push back on that just a little bit. You don't even, you know, phones are pretty good nowadays. I think you can do better, but like honestly, it's just the the device isn't going to move the laundry basket, right? It's the care of presentation to want to, and I'm not saying you have to have a whole house cleaner and do everything, but you
No,
can
but you got to
get a couple
sometimes you
of
got
the
to
things that
move
are
stuff.
clutter. You can move the toothbrush from the vanity top, things like that that are just,
Yes, please do that.
you know,
Yeah, like Rich said, you don't have to pay for photos, and I get it. And I did say on the last pod, like, we're in a lower price point, so, commissions are a little bit lower. So agents up here do try to keep their business expenses down. I totally understand. And when they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, I want you to hear me. A photo is worth $250,000 right now.
it
Okay.
is. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's yeah, you can't mess this up, guys. Like if you are an agent, just think about your client and what's best for them and how is it going to stack up against competitive listings because there are plenty of agents right now using professional services. So just get in the ballpark, even if you don't have the budget for it, that's okay. Just get in the ballpark of in terms of quality and presentation. And again, for the seller, just do your research, look at their photos, and ask to see your listing before it's live. I have a habit of putting it on a secondary site that when it's right as it's kind of coming soon within my 24 hours that I'm allowed to do that in New York State, I will send it to the seller and say, check this out, read it. Did I miss anything? Is there any features you want me to add? Look at the photos. Is there anything that you want me to change? I want them to approve it. And I always get a text back, oh, it looks amazing. Thank you so much. I just want them to be happy. But I have a question for you, Rich. What do you say to the agent that says, I really don't want the photos to look too good? Because that
Well,
happens as well. They're afraid to get the professional photos because they're afraid they're going to overstate how wonderful this property is.
so that's a great one. There are elements of that are definitely worth discussing. I think some of the high end photography gear is so good at taking in, like, interiors of homes, Jess, can be dark, right? So they're so good at taking in all the available light. They make it look bright, even if it's a kind of a darker toned home or a little bit. So what you don't want is a huge difference between reality and the presentation. So what I said in the
Yes.
beginning was we want it to be accurate. So like if it's a dark log cabin interior, it probably shouldn't actually look like you're in a laboratory with just everything is pulsating
Right.
with light,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's almost a misrepresentation, not through like deviousness, just through you're too darn good with the quality of your lens, essentially. So I do get that, and you don't want someone walking in the door and being let down immediately, and just that's that negative experience we talked about on the last pod, was like first impressions matter. You want the reality to correlate with what they expected. Because
Yeah.
if it's only a letdown, then it's hard to recover from that. Even if it fundamentally is still a good property for them and it's a good fit, they'll still be like, yeah, but I thought that bathroom was bigger. There's a lot of that ultra wide lens stuff happening too, which I like the ultra wide because I do like to show the space, but it definitely, no doubt about it, makes rooms look bigger, right? You kind of have to learn to like look at the table. Is the table like, like or whatever, like there's perspective of those lenses, but you
Right.
could see something that is supposed to be a plate and it's like an oblong saucer. Like, well, that's because we're stretching the view.
That's so funny. I thought that was a cake plate.
But so I think between lighting and this ultra wide, the point fives
Hmm.
or whatever on some camera, like I think there is an element of, I don't know, but we're still
Yeah,
we're
be
still supposed to
careful.
make it look good. We're still
Yeah, make
supposed
it
to
look
do
good.
our best. Yeah.
I really think our job in the presentation of it is to get as many eyeballs on it. You don't want people to swipe past it because it's ugly, like everything else. The aesthetic does matter in today's society in general. So they're not gonna. Was it? I'm not on dating apps. Is it swipe left or swipe right? What's the bad one?
Why are you asking me?
Because, sir,
I think
in your
I
in
don't
your
know. I think
long
you.
past, a long time ago, when you used to be on dating apps, it's not recently. Is it left or right is bad? Because I just
I don't
want to
even
be
know.
able to make
I
a.
think right is like. I think.
I've been with my husband for 18 years, guys, so I don't know any of this stuff, and
You know
I really
how
don't.
I actually well I've
Wait,
used these softwares these apps, but I think I'm such an archaic person. I think I scroll down because I actually read the whole thing. So I don't just swipe. I'll actually like, is this person a good human? Oh, how many like? And then at the bottom there's like an X. I'm like, okay, X.
but
So I don't
isn't
even
it
do a
like?
physical swipe.
But it's a There's a scroll down. All right,
Yeah,
so but is right bad just for
I
my
think I don't know.
so I can move on with my life. So anyway, you don't want them to swipe in the wrong
What a
direction
weird.
on
What
your
are we
property.
gonna make a little clip out of this? How obnoxiously uneducated we are on this.
Yeah, we can definitely do that because all I know is how to sell houses and make them look really great. So just on that point of do they look too good? No. Obviously, again, like you
But
talked
it is
about
like a
editing,
sorry to cut across you,
it
Tara.
is like a
But it is
dating
like a
app.
dating app where you
Yes.
want the reality to match the
Yeah,
presentation.
right. That too. Yeah, she's got a lot of makeup on in that photo. Exactly. You don't want to do any type of editing that removes any blemishes that are kind of need to be there. Or yeah, no, I agree. I don't think, and having a photography background, I will shoot what's there. But what I'm not going to do is leave stuff there that is not the house's, right? So if it's not a light fixture or a cabinet or a countertop or a sink, it shouldn't be in the picture. Obviously, you have some decor items, but when you have like piles of personal belongings around, they're not buying those things anyway, so get them out of the friggin' picture. If they end up coming to a house that has more personal belongings, cluttered a little bit, that's okay. They're not buying that stuff. The photos now are a very real representation of what the house should look like when we
Hmm.
do our final walkthrough because it will be empty. So I'm good with stripping everything out, staging it in a way that you just see the house, the pieces of the things, the refrigerator, the flooring, the ceiling, the cabinets. All of that stuff is staying there. I don't need to see your dishes. I don't need to see cute dish towels. I don't need to see a bunch of magazines stacked up on the countertop.
Yeah.
So I think of it that way. The photos may look better in terms of there's less stuff in the picture, but as long as you're not fixing a cabinet door that when they walk in there is actually it's actually hanging off or like photoshopping a hole in the wall, I actually won't do that. If there's a hole in the wall, I'm leaving it there. I'm just
Well,
going to
I
declutter.
think to clarify, I think you almost have to. I think most
You have
MLSs
to leave it there.
have language in them that you can't really physically alter
No.
the property unless you can note it. Like you can remove all. You can take a cluttered room, and there are softwares out there where you could remove everything, but you are at that point you're using some kind of artificial intelligence to or editing to fundamentally change. There could be a hole in the wall behind that box. So if you remove the box and the computer is filling in wall, you don't know there could be a stain, whatever. So the bottom line is you're not supposed to change that.
Exactly. And you shouldn't. And
But I
I
mean,
wouldn't anyway, because I
like you
don't
said,
want people to walk in and, again, feel like it's going to look a lot better than it's
you know,
going
you
to.
take a picture of a
Yeah.
lawn and there's a basketball in the yard. You can probably edit out the basketball and it's not going to change anything. But you shouldn't take out the whatever the fence or
Yeah.
you get what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, the rule of thumb that I go by is like literally, is this how it's going to look at final walkthrough when all their stuff is gone? When all the junk is out of the picture, this is what it would look like. So that's just kind of the way I think of it. But like we said, the aesthetic matters. Your photo is worth $250,000 in these days, so you want to make sure that you get eyeballs on it and that you get calls because people are going to call on a cute house. They're going to call when things look good. They can understand how the layout is. So I do floor plans a lot, which a lot of people don't do, especially if it's a larger home. People have to understand the flow of a house because I've had people walk in to I've walked into other people's listings and me and my buyers are like, I didn't even know that room was like has that, and we're confused, and that's another negative experience like we talked about. So it doesn't hurt to have floor plans if you have a home that's got kind of a lot going on too and a lot of little
Yep.
rooms and stuff. I mean that's part
Well,
of the presentation.
you asked what a seller looks for. I do think that now sometimes a home is simple enough that it isn't a requirement, but I do think
Right.
if you have a somewhat of a complicated or unique floor plan, I think that that is something that agent should provide as part of the listing, a marketing package. I do. And they
Yep.
don't have to spend a ton of money to get something at least, representative. I mean, they could even, frankly, they could measure rooms and sketch it. I mean, I'm not saying you'd want to present that to the world, but it's again, for me, it's that effort thing I was talking about, right? Do they care enough to tell the world what your property actually looks like? And I don't know. I guess I
Yeah,
just
I'm
struggle
half
with that.
expecting.
Like, I don't know, Jess. I want us all to be professional. I would rather compete with agents in a level playing field, and not the best person wins, but like you said, you're going to
Yes.
resonate with some people, and you won't. But I'd rather it be a human to human sort of like, I prefer to work with this person because I trust them and I like how they are, versus like there might be a great agent, Jess, that just does terrible photography, and then you're like, well, you're actually really good at all these other things, but you just don't present the home very well. And then, but that's a big part of the modern agent process. I think that's where I'm at with it. Is you could be a great pro, but you need that element.
And well, and that's why I'm saying, like, if this hits the consumers, right? If this goes to the public at large and people thinking about selling, ask your photographer, I'm sorry, ask your agent if they do professional photography. Or listen, I see that you normally don't, but for my house, could you do that? Is that
Mm-hmm.
something that you can
Mm-hmm.
include with your marketing, because it's important to me that it's done well. So if you have an agent that is, because there's a lot of,
You
old
know,
school agents here that are amazing. They're wonderful. And we're also like where we are in our market. It's funny because I will look at houses in other markets. Just I look at houses everywhere. I'll look at stuff in Phoenix, Arizona. I look at stuff in Florida. I look at Savannah, Georgia is like one of my favorite neighborhoods. There is not one listing that has cell phone pictures. Not one. Go ahead, look at Savannah, Georgia, and I challenge you to find a photo anywhere on any of those listings. And some of them are not high-end listings. Not one isn't done professionally. It's just the market. Why are we in this market where almost half of the listings, if not more than half, don't even have a chance of having a professional presentation?
there's
I know that's
probably a lot of reasons, and I have not don't run a data collection enterprise on this. I would actually ask my AI assistant some of this, but I'm willing to bet that you're right in metro. I bet, Jess, the trend is that in larger metro areas, there's a more of a industry momentum towards that sort of all default professional setting. There's probably more photographers available. It's probably more routine in the process. But I'm willing to bet that in smaller markets, more rural or rural-ish areas, I'm willing to bet that across the country there are pockets that are just like us, where agents are agenting and they're doing their best, and they might not have either the service providers or the competition that's forcing them to rise above. Right? To some extent, humans are
just for
humans, and
yourself.
we do sort of regress to the mean. So, like, if you can get away with something, a lot of people will. Not saying it's right.
Yeah, and that's again a business choice. That is a choice that's specific to the agent themselves and what they want
I
their
could be
business
wrong.
and what they're.
I don't know enough about that, but I that's my hunch, is that it's probably metro, like a metro.
I I very rarely, I have to say, I very rarely see cell phone pictures when I look in other states. Very rarely. I don't know if it's
Well,
just like
again, I think
New
you use
Yorkers
this.
are like, I can do it myself. New
I think
Yorkers.
you and I use the term cell phone differently. Because I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, by the way, but a modern phone, they can even do like your HDR photography. They can do like lighting depth and stuff like that. They can do bokeh effect. They can do all that stuff pretty well. So I think maybe like a 2008 cell phone versus a real camera, it might be a different story. But
Well, sometimes
nowadays,
they even get little
these lenses are pretty
cameras.
good.
Yeah, and you can see, because you can see in the reflection of the bathroom mirror that it's actually a little
Yeah.
camera and the flash went off. And like, why am I seeing your little camera in the listing photo? Why am I seeing your little camera? So it could be a camera too. There are wonderful cell phones There's definitely, there's gray areas in all of this. It's not a black and white
Well, I think it's all
conversation. That's why we
scalable,
wanted to
right? I
cover
think
it.
there's the scale of I don't care. I'm just walking through the house. I'm snapping like they're blurry. They're not even in focus. There's that worst level of just like there's animals and pets and kids running around in the photos, and then maybe in the middle is sort of like I'm still doing it myself, but at least I'm taking the time to try to color correct or do a few things and tidy up. And then the high end is oh, we got our photographer team is gonna come in at Tuesday for a 4 hour shoot, and they're gonna do video, and they're gonna clean the house first, and they're gonna have the drone pilot come over and do all the bells and whistles. That's kind of your top tier. So I think everything is in the middle, but I would hope that we're getting away from that low rung where it's just like
Listing went up this week, right? And I sort of expect, I don't know, maybe it's a high expectation that it's going to come down or the pictures are going to get changed out in the next week or so. Because there's no way the seller is going to see what we saw and be like, oh, that looks great. Thank you so much for all your help. I'm so glad I hired you. You're such a good agent. There's no way. There's no planet that happens. There's no planet. So
well, I think I want to, not that I want to dissect it too much, but I think now maybe this is me in a little bit of an ivory tower. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to, I'm not some fantastic high end agent, but I also am fortunate enough that I don't have a strong worry about what's next, or I don't have a worry about where's my next, commission check going to come from. I have built enough of a business that I'm pretty confident that I can do what I do. And all I'm doing right now is slowly growing, and I want to get better. But I think whether you're a new agent or an older agent, there is a lot of, there's an opportunity. Someone, whatever, reaches out to me and I have an opportunity. I'm going to snatch at it and act fast and go get it and do it and slap it on the market because I have to. And I think there's that go. I don't want this to miss. I don't want to pass this by. And I don't know what the difference is between, hey, this is a good opportunity. Can I now schedule my photographer for 2 days from now? I don't know, but I feel like there's a gap there where some people are just like, I got it. I got it on the market. I'm good. Job done.
And yeah, I think that. And I also think, you know, unfortunately, the house may sell anyway.
That's what you've said this
So
before. And we've
the
experienced
house
this
may sell
before.
anyway.
I don't think those photos will ever get reshot because sometimes the price and the house sell itself, and it's a perpetuating. It's a
Right. So
perpetuation of
the
that
agent
poor
has
quality.
been rewarded,
Yeah,
right? Like, okay,
correct.
well, I sold it anyway. I don't have to do that because I'm
It's a
going to sell it
positive
anyway.
feedback loop for a
I
poor
mean,
behavior or a
sure, you
unprofessional,
may
slightly
sell
unprofessional.
it. You may sell it anyway. I mean, even a dead clock is right twice a day, which is my favorite saying ever. It's so relevant to everything. But also, you should just want to do better. You should just want to make things look as good as they can be, as they can look. Because I do think it may sell anyway, but maybe you left 15 grand on the table. Maybe you left $25,000 on the table. Maybe you left $50,000 on the table. Seriously. Because the more people that call, and correct me if I'm wrong, the more people that call, we have something called supply and demand. If I get one call on shitty photos and I get an offer and the house sells, fine. There was nothing bad transpired here. By all accounts, this looks like a success. Or I have such a beautiful presentation that I get 5 phone calls and I get 3 offers. And now I'm up 10,000 for my seller, 15,000, 20,000 more because I was able to create so much buyer interest. And then when they met me, I was just so wonderful that everyone decided that they wanted this house because I got so many eyeballs on it. So I do feel like you can sell the house anyway. But again, are you doing the best you can and getting every dollar you can out of that house for your
Yeah,
seller?
and is it the best behavior for your client, right? You just said that extra 10 grand they make is because of your effort to make it look the best. So
Correct.
you're 100% correct about that. Oftentimes houses will sell themselves, but I don't have the data on it, but I do believe that you're right, that if there's probably a correlation between professional photography and above average price point or whatever
There's
above
not only
list.
photography, so we're talking about presentation too. I've done staging. I've had empty apartments. It was an estate sale, so we got it cleaned, but it was like just an empty, big, ugly apartment that needed work. And it sat on the market, and you know me, Rich, I go crazy. If I'm not in contract in 30 days, something's very wrong with my whole life. I have to rethink everything since birth. This thing was on the market a solid 3 months, going into the fourth month, and I finally called the seller, and she loved me. She's like, "You're doing great. You're doing open houses. You're doing showings, no offers. We did price reductions, showings, no offers." I said, "Listen, I think we need to get some furniture in here. It's stale. It's old. I know you had it cleaned. I love that. We got to get furniture physically in here because I did the virtual staging option first, and." Still, people came, showings, that's fine, no offers. I said, they got to walk in. You are not even believe this story, and I'm going to show you before and after when I can find those pictures. It's old, this is a long time ago. I paid $5,000, and by I split it with my seller. $2,500 I literally put in, and she said, I will pay you back at closing. No problem. Up front, I paid $2,500. She paid $2,500. We had the whole thing professionally staged. This was a small one-bedroom apartment in Queens. It cost $5,000. I don't know what that costs now. The first person who walked in made an offer. The first person bought it. I was like, oh, so this works. So people have to be able to imagine the space, and we have to help them do that, right? So you can just throw pictures up of what the damn thing is, and here you go, and here's a price, and not put any effort towards helping people with the vision of this home. You can do that. It might sell anyway. Or you help them with the vision of the home. You show them how, because the living room was humongous, and then one of the bedrooms was a good size, and then the other one was like really small. Like when you walk into a really small room without furniture, it somehow feels smaller. And then when you put furniture in, it actually somehow feels bigger. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we're maximizing every dollar, we're getting every eyeball on it, we're fielding every inquiry, we're getting all of the butts we possibly can in to see this thing. And when they do that, we're wonderful. We showered today. We don't smell like armpits. And it shows beautifully. It's staged. It's clean. Just do everything you can would be my...
Just do everything you can.
What I want to leave this conversation with is please do everything you can because your seller absolutely deserves that. And if you are thinking about selling your home deserves that. And don't think your home doesn't. Because I've heard that, oh, sellers are like, oh, no, you don't have to do that for me. They've told me that. You don't have to do that for me. I'm going to do everything for you because I don't care if it's a $100,000 house or a $600,000 house or a $6 million house. I will give it all the same exact treatment because you deserve that.
That's all super well said. I want to add one. Well, I want to ask you one thing. You said I want to give them everything. This is different, and this is like a epilogue kind of a conversation, but and we don't have to go into it at length. But what do you is everything inclusive of these semi-trendy videos? It's usually a younger agent. I'm not gonna lie, but where they're kind of like in the house and they're I don't want to say they're like denigrating the house, but it's definitely more of a social media pitch where it's just I don't know if it's cool or if it is a promotion or marketing or if it's just to increase followers. But you know what I'm saying? Where they're either saying some jokes or it's this could be your view out your toilet or whatever, stuff like that.
You mean like Tampa Brie?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the people that do it, but
she's crazy.
Like
she's great.
I think that's also a divisive thing. It's probably also a topic for a whole different section, but do you think that that's in the purview of I'm doing everything for you, so therefore I'm going to like actually kind of mock your house in a tongue-in-cheek way?
I guarantee it's a conversation before that ever happens. Most likely, especially if you have a pretty robust channel and you have a lot of followers and people are kind of looking at your stuff, you're going to get phone calls from the sellers that want you to do that. They're like, I saw that video. It was awesome.
If that is your thing, yeah.
I would actually want someone to do that at my house. I would laugh my ass off. I would think it was wonderful. I would enjoy it. My house would go viral, all the good things. As long as there's also, again, the professional presentation, the agent's not an idiot, they're ethical, they're compliant, like all the other things are there. I think that would be hilarious. Now, definitely there's sellers that 0% chance are you going to be able to go over there and do something like that. So I think it's going to be up to your client what they're comfortable with. And then you can decide, pull that lever forwards or backwards. But the video is important. I think at least a video, even if you just kind of put your photos to a slideshow, a little bit of music, yeah, do that. I mean, it's not difficult. You don't have to, but again, like we're saying, if you want to do everything you can, or you can do something that's super high level, edited, did a voiceover, have some nice rolling drone shots. Those are beautiful. And remember that how many billions of hours of content that are streamed every year. People scroll on their phone. So if you can do a video that someone's going to pick up and scroll and watch, it's just more exposure for you. Of course, it helps you more than anything, but it'll get that house picked up and people may look at it. So I would say, again, partner with your client, see what your seller's comfortable with. But if that's your jam, do it. But minimum, make sure you have a basic presentation that looks better than this listing we saw today.
Yeah, I generally think I would put video as a category along the same lines of the better you can do, the better off it is. I just think that one little niche. I'm not like some old curmudgeon either necessarily. I think it's fun too, and I'm sure you're right. I'm sure those are clearly in the strategizing, but because if you were a seller and it wasn't your thing, and it's suddenly like, oh, I listed your house today. Look at the video I made, and it wasn't your the sentiment that you wanted. Yeah, that would be strange.
They wouldn't. Yeah, no, that would be awful if like the wrong person for her. No, you definitely want to have that conversation and set the expectation. And I think in our market, a lot of agents are not doing video and even funny videos like that at all on a level. We've seen more videos and more people doing more professional stuff, which I love. They're talking, they're actually doing home tours in the videos a little bit, so I've been seeing a little bit more of it coming out. So hopefully we're trending in that direction in general, and getting away from the sleepy, quick, dark little photo with the realtor in the mirror. But the video, don't forget, guys, like content is king. Any content that can be scrolled through and watched on their phone. I mean, we're going to have like thumbitis. Remember when we used to play Nintendo and now we're aging ourselves. We used to play Nintendo and your thumbs would hurt so much from playing Nintendo. Yeah, well, now they hurt from scrolling. So if you can get a video on there of your house or some really beautiful pictures that someone can scroll through, yep, that's the way this is going.
Awesome. Well, this was something that we've talked about in the past, but we just something locally just kicked it off in our mind, and we were like, man, let's discuss.
Let's discuss. And again, everything is our opinions. If you're out there and you're a professional agent, or you're a seller and you love your agent didn't do any of those things, it's fine. The house may sell anyway. Like, again, this is just our opinions. This is how we choose to kind of do business. But we definitely think that everybody deserves the best presentation and the best possible agent. So that's why, at the end of the day, we like to have these conversations, because we do want you to hear that and what's possible and what's out there. And as a seller, even as a buyer, you have a lot of choice in the market. So just make sure you're doing your research and you really know what's available to you. And that's really why we want to do this. But this is a personal trigger for me, the photography thing. And sorry if I was harsh at all, but it's just a personal thing for me, because I want to swipe right. Or no, I want to swipe left. Which one do I want to swipe, Rich?
This is bad one to close out on, because we never figured that
So
out.
in the comments, let us know, is right bad or is left bad? Because I need to know. So I need to know which way I'm swiping. And on that note,
I think you swipe right if you like the thing.
I feel like right is positive and left is negative. That's how I just operate my life. So I think
Man,
swiping
okay.
right means you're right for me. Swiping left means take a hike.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, maybe if that was what was in the thought process. I don't know.
I don't know,
Anyway,
but
uh,
let us know because we want to know.
good
Inquiring minds want
conversation.
to know.
We yeah, that's all I got for today, Jess. I'm tapped out.
Tapped out. All right, guys. See you next time.